Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the showdown between the Vampire Counts, led by the Strigoi Ghoul King atop his Terrorgeist. The High Elves who are going to be led by Alariel the Radiant, and I don't think she's on her pigeon. It's actually been one of the first games we've seen her on her horse. It's not like a unicorn or something. It's actually just a regular horse with some cool wings on its helmet there. Looks like there's going to be a fat Star Dragon as well, so this should be a fun one. So for my front line, it's going to be very thin. We're actually trying a relatively mobile Vampire Counts army. So we do have the Terrorgeist Goon Squad up here. Not like a true goon squad, and honestly against high elves I usually like to bring like either like a zombie dragon and two of those guys, or maybe a vampire lord on the ground and double terrorgeist. But I figured since he's Strigoi Ghoul King is a pretty good duelist with Spirit Leech and Anti-Large and Poison, plus he also rides a terrorgeist, that would be enough. But so we got those two up in the air. We have a front line of Graveguard with these Sternsmen here in the middle. Graveguard do very well against Spearmen and kind of low tier high elf troops, and I don't know how they would trade with White Lions. That would actually be something I'd like to test, but Graveguard here in the front line, three groups should be pretty good against Spearmen as well as the Archers. So it looks like he has a very Helm's Deep type form. I coined that term. We'll take it. Helm's Deep style formation here. We have Spearmen and Archers. He's just going to be kind of tanking, using the anti-large from his nobles and the dragon to kind of hold me off. But I think my Graveguard should win the frontline engagement, and hopefully if they can win and I don't take too many casualties elsewhere, they can then push on to the Archers, which would be pretty good. One group of Fellbats just to disrupt missile units. On the far side here, we do have the Varix Reavers to just cycle charge Archers, just apply pressure to my opponent's back line here. These guys are pretty good, have decent combat stats as far as Black Knights go, or yeah, they're Black Knights with lances, I suppose, and they also do have regeneration, so hopefully they'll do well. We do have two groups of Direwolves, so a lot of Direwolves, a lot of harass units, really hoping to shut down the Archers, so a lot of this game is going to come down to whether or not I can get past the spears and get into the goodies. Over here in the forest, we do have Blood Knights and the Dire Pack, which are the regiments of renown of the Fluffy Wolves, and these guys are solid. They do have anti-large, so if they get on a dragon or cav units, they can do pretty good. One more group of Direwolves, and that is pretty much it. So for my opponent's army, he does have a Mighty Star Dragon, double nobles on horseback, which I love. Very, very good stuff for my opponent here. Then he does also have Alariel the Radiant on horseback with the Star of Averlorn, Arcan and Forging Tempest, which is going to be really, really good against his Strigoi Ghoul King, plus those archers. So if he casts Tempest and shoots me out of the sky, that's going to be kind of spooky. So I'm trying something a little bit different. This isn't necessarily my competitive build against High Elves, but I wanted to try something different with the Reavers and the Strigoi Ghoul King and see how they do. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. So right now I'm going to be advancing, trying to squeak around here, but there is a bit of a terrain blocker, so I could maybe ride up through here, but my opponent was moving his formation, and the Overwatch fire from the Sisters of Averlorn, I didn't want to get too close until I really had the disruption elements in place. So the Dire Pack's going around here. The Blood Knights taking some decent fire, some las cannon shots coming in from the Sisters of Averlorn on these guys, and they haven't gotten a model yet, but their AP doing very, very good work, and my guys got their shields up, but it's a lot of damage coming in from those guys. Very, very good range as well. So that's actually the Everqueen's Court Guard, which I think aren't a bad choice because one of the main ways to shut down missile harass and stuff like that is summoning zombies, and the Everqueen's Court Guards can just beat the brakes off zombies in melee and kill them really quick. So the bats are coming in, basically just a desperate attempt here because they weren't going to last long. So when the bats come in, that's kind of the signaling call for the rest of my army to move in and attack. So you can see the Graveguard are going to be engaging in the front line versus Scions here. My opponent not getting a counter charge off, but it doesn't really matter. Spearmen have like a charge bonus of like nothing. So the Graveguard are fighting in the front line. It's definitely going to be a grindy fight, one that my Graveguard will win, just because they have bonus versus infantry and better combat stats. Strigoi Ghoul King, realizing there is a threat, is going to be summoning some Crypt Ghouls, so we summon some of these angry Golems here. So the Golems are here. They're going to be pushing into the Archers. My Hounds get in as well, these Direwolves. So getting some really good pressure on the back line initially, but that's what's cool about like the Handmaidens of the Handmaidens and the Sisters of Averlorn is they're pretty good in melee. So the angry Golems pushing in there. And it looks like the Heart of Averlorn is going down. No, that was actually something else. But anyways, my Blood Knight's taking a ton of damage, so not really a good engagement for me. Awesome protection is going down as well. So all of a sudden, these guys are really tanky. It gives them plus 30 armor and 27 melee defense. So 90 melee defense on the Everqueen's Court Guard. Not going to help them too much with the lances, as the Black Knights do come in there and just swiggity-swooty them with their charge. Definitely getting some really good value. But then the Star Dragon swoops in as well. And my two Terrorgeists are going to follow him, trying to nip some damage off him. Also Spirit Leeching. So we're getting some good value, but this is where, Alariel really shines. The Heart of Averlorn is going down. The double nobles coming in with anti-large. Strigoi Ghoul King's taking a beating. So I didn't really have a good opportunity to get my Hounds in here. So what I do is I grab one group here and one group here. Tongue twister there. One group here and one group here. And I do a rear charge into these Spearmen. So the Spearmen are going to get sandwiched by the Hounds, triggering a massive leadership penalty. And they're lightly armored, so the Hounds can definitely nibble at them a little bit. And now you can see the High front line here in the middle, at least, is going to break rather quickly. But he did have some auxiliary spears he pulls in here as well. And in that backline engagement, it went pretty bad. I did take a lot of damage on the Varix Reavers, but the Blood Knights get a collapsing rear charge on the Spearmen. Is going to open up the pocket, and now the Graveguard are flooding through. You can see that Hound rear flank doing a very, very good job. So here comes the Hordes of Hell. So definitely looking pretty good here. Graveguard going in, Direwolves going in, all kinds of madness. But this is kind of scary because the Tempest is going down. And even though I have constant pressure on these Everqueen's court guards, as well as these Sisters of Avalorn, there's still moments of time where they're able to shoot, and you can see that the Tempest is still slowing him. He's just taking massive damage, and he's also weak to fire. And Everqueen's court guards do fire damage, so that was a bit of a stupid oversight on my part here. But yeah, he's getting melted pretty good, even with that, the moves he's got. So the Terrorgeist are having a fallback right now. The infantry fight definitely in my favor. The cav fight's going okay. The Blood Knight's trying to find a home, charging into those unbraced spears, and mainly just, of course, trying to get on these guys. But still, I do get caught by the spearmen, so we're going to take some casualties there. Front line's pretty much, going completely in my favor. I'm pushing through. I'm just crumping all over these spearmen here. But really, the leadership fight is a little bit tough. My Blood Knight's getting pinned down by the Star Dragon and the Nobles. Plus, the really solid healing from Alariel the Radiant here is really, really good. That Heart of Avalorn earlier was just huge. Healed up a ton of damage on that dragon. You look at the dragon now, he would be like almost dead without that. He would have been like probably like 800, 900 HP, but right now just getting blasted. The Nobles, as you guys know, a very good anti-large tool here. They're just kind of poking down the Strigoi Ghoul King. Arcane and Forging does go down, which could potentially, I didn't have the Winds of Magic, but if I was looking to heal with, for example, an Invocation of the Heck, that would actually shut me down. So very, very good play from my opponent there. Definitely liking his army quite a bit. Pararetrievers charging into these Spearmen, so just trying to crush my opponent's spear formation so I can eventually just push through. Obviously, the Spearmen of the High Elves are very good at holding, and it's really allowing him to do quite a bit of work with his dragons and all those other resources. So some Direwolves going in the back on the Everqueen's Court Guards, but again, that Star Dragon is he's just all over the place. And yeah, the Everqueen's Court Guard's really, really strong in melee. Like, even when I get back there with Hounds or Brass Tools or other stuff like that, it seems like I'm not getting a lot of work done. So, seeing this kind of action in play, I'm kind of thinking that maybe I should have just, obviously I was experimenting with the build, but I think just going super wide with a ton of Graveguard, maybe getting like Vlad von Karstein to endure the Star Dragon and that other firepower would have been a little bit better. A very, very good Star of Avalorn going down right here, healing those Nobles to full health, doing quite a bit of a HP healing here on the Star Dragon, bringing him up probably 300 or 400 HP, and I do get a last desperate charge there. The Barracks Reavers are going to be charging into the Everqueen's Court Guards right there, but even after all those charges, you guys have seen I've charged into them with like Knights like 3 or 4 times. Hounds have been chewing on them, and despite all that, they're able to hold with a really high melee defense. And I really liked that False Protection earlier. I forgot that if you overcast it, it's an AoE effect, so that really kind of negated just the raw damage I had coming in there with the charging Knights with the lances and everything. But if you look at my heroic units, you can see the Mighty Terrorgeist has fallen. It's been nibbled, and the Strigoi Ghoul King is going to go back to the Haggard Pits from whence he came. I'm sure he's just resting. He's just resting his eyes, guys. He'll be back. The Sternsmen here, though, these guys are solid. 101 kills, not giving an inch to these Spearmen. So if there's anything to be learned from this fight, I really don't think the Strigoi Ghoul King is going to be an optimal pick. You can see the loss of my forces here kind of being picked apart for the Graveguard 87 models here. These ones, like, my infantry are all like full health, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be able to stop the Star Dragon, the 2 Nobles, plus Alariel. It's just too much power and too much leadership. And even if they wanted to keep fighting, I'm pretty much just going to get slapped with army losses there. And look at how fast those full health units disintegrated. So that was pretty absurd. But yeah, it was an experimental build. I wanted to see how things would go, and really that build just wasn't up to snuff. So if we look, the Graveguard here did well. Definitely one of the better elements of the build. Strigoi Ghoul King and the Terrorgeist were really lackluster. Those guys just got like taken to town, which was a little bit unfortunate. And I really don't think the Cav is the way to go. Even though Blood Knights can do okay, yeah, they got okay kills, but I feel like they just weren't super impactful, and it didn't give me enough stopping power to really deal with like the Nobles and Alariel and that kind of stuff. So if I had to work on a different build, so let's actually go ahead and go over to the Vampire accounts here and just take a look at like something we could do a little bit differently. So where are you? Where are my spooky dudes? They're here somewhere on this roster. It's a little bit late. I think it's like midnight or something, so still getting there. But you got a couple options. You could go with Heinrich Kemmler. He's very cheap. You could summon Crow with anti-large, very good for like dueling capabilities. Or you could go with like a more blunt force type build, maybe using like the Red Duke, for example, with Elves to kind of win those trades. But with Tempest, I feel like it's a little bit risky. So let's go with Heinrich. I feel like Heinrich's going to be a decent choice. Krell's always, a pretty nice tool to have. Like if he's back there causing a lot of pressure, that's going to be really good. So we can keep these, keep these, keep these. Do we want any White Kings? I feel like they're not going to do terribly well versus Nobles. You could go with Nobles, but not Nobles, but Banshees, but I think that's risky. So I think honestly going a little bit wider here, maybe get like, yeah, you could even get like a bunch of those guys. Oh, I think we're on like Ultra Fun, so let's go to large there. That feels more at home. So we're probably going to change this around, but you can get a couple Skeleton Spears. I don't know though. Do we really want the Spears? I don't think you can get away with like Cryptors and things like that. And I honestly think something like a Black Coach could be a little bit like, so this front line is going to be very overwhelming for your opponent. You could even like swarm around with like skeletons, just go super, super wide. You could get Skeleton Spears, I suppose. They all have terrible melee attack, and at least these guys can do something against large targets. So just really swarming here. As far as like defending Heinrich, we could go a little bit. Yeah, the Mortis Engine's too risky. I think like the missiles and the dragons are just going to take that out too quick. Maybe you want to go with Vargulfs. Vargulfs I still think are a little bit risky, so I do think the double Terrorgeist is the way to go. and just being like really conservative, waiting for your opponent to try and come in and like take out Heinrich and then going in there. But yeah, something like this could potentially work. It is a little bit slow, but I think it would be safe, and you could just dump your chevrons wherever. But go super wide. I had 3 of the Sternsmen, so if I had 5 of these Graveguard, 2 of them could have wrapped around the flanks and been applying a ton of pressure. There's not really too many good targets for his archers. Heinrich's going to be there, Krell's going to be in the front line, Black Coach can be disrupting, and it still is a hard target when it's amongst infantry. And Spearman gives you some pretty good attrition tools. You can use them defensively if he has a ton of cav, or you can send them up and around the flanks if you need to just kind of swarm your opponent. A lot of this matchup, I think, is going to come down to Terrorgeist play, like how effectively you can avoid this, like the unnecessary engagements. Just wait till the nobles are taken up, wait till, you know, the Star Dragon's a little bit busy, get the breath attacks off, do rear charges, win the game. I think that's how you go. So this would probably be something like I'd, you know, bring if I wasn't trying something a little bit different, but yeah, maybe I'll give it a try in the next couple games and see how it goes. So again, very well played to my opponent. It was an awesome game. I really liked his build. He had great micro. His Tempests were on point. It was solid stuff. So very well played to my opponent. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this Vampire Count game. So have an excellent night, guys, and take care.